Hello, I'm just jumping on today to talk briefly about a reread I've just done of one of my favourite novels of all time, Portraits of a Marriage by Sandor Marai, I think is the correct pronunciation. So, Sandor Marai, if you're not familiar with him, was a Hungarian author, and Portraits of a Marriage was written back in 1941, so over 80 years ago now. Um, Marai's most well-known novel is Embers, and that became very popular for a period of time in the early 2000s when his works came into English translation. So he's not been in English translation for very long, which is probably why he's not very well known. But he is a superb author and he writes beautifully. But Portraits of a Marriage is my favourite novel of his. I've read Embers too, but I love this one. This one just really resonates with me. And it's essentially a story which follows a marriage between two upper class members of Hungarian society at the turn of the Second World War. So, two bourgeois citizens living in Hungary at the time. And the story is told in monologue form. So there's no chapters in this book. There's three parts and then an epilogue which kind of ties things together at the end. And each part talks about the marriage from a different perspective. So from the perspective of the husband, the perspective of the wife, and then I won't give the story away, but we'll say the perspective of another person. Okay. And it's not just a story about marriage, though. This novel kind of gets really deep into a lot of different themes about class differences, love, loss, disillusionment, human nature. He even talks about like the difficulties of living through the First World War and communism in such a beautiful way. And remembering as well that Marai did actually like live through this himself, so it's almost like a first-hand experience that he gives us. And the story unravels really nicely across the three monologues. So each monologue will contradict the next, and themes will link together, and you'll be able to piece together what's happening as the story unfolds from the perspective of three different people, and come to your own decisions and take what messages you want from the novel. Some messages are just kind of quietly whispered and kind of linger and haunt you for a long time after reading the book, and others are more obvious and powerful. But when I read this book at the end of it, it just really leaves me thinking about a lot of different things, to do with like human nature and relationships and life and love and what it all means. And it's very powerful. It's beautifully written, and I think that it would be a great read for anybody, whether you're in a relationship, married or not. He just really tackles so many different things in this novel, and I would say it is like a slow burner, but it's a slow burner where you have to keep turning the pages to find out what happens. You really like start to live inside of this book. You feel like you know the characters personally by the end of it. Really well written, really well translated, and like I keep saying, one of my favorite novels of all time that I've reread 3 times now, I think, and you just take more and more from it each time, and it just haunts and lingers after you finished it for a long, long time. So, Portraits of a Marriage by Sandor Marai. I've never seen this in a major bookstore before, but if you type it in online, you'll find it there. Not to be confused with other novels of a similar name, but that would be a big recommendation from me. So there we go.